investorideas.com podcasts.
Good afternoon and welcome to another investorideas.com podcast, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insight from thought leaders and experts. Today we're looking at announcements from Canopy Growth Corporation, trading on the TSX as WEED and the New York Stock Exchange as CGC, CannTrust Holdings Incorporated, trading on the TSX as TRST, Canna Royalty Corporation, trading on the CSE as CRZ and OTCQX as CNNRF, and Ianthus Capital Holdings Incorporated, trading on the CSE as IAN and the OTCQB as ITHUF. First, looking at Canopy Growth Corporation, who provided updates on its medical cannabis program and reaffirmed its strong commitment to medical cannabis, the patients who depend on it, and the healthcare professionals who prescribe it. Marking a major milestone for medical cannabis in Canada, a Phase 11B in-human clinical trial application was submitted by Canopy Health Innovations Incorporated to evaluate the use of medical cannabis in the treatment of insomnia. Having received approval to proceed with these clinical trials in the form of a non-objection letter from Health Canada, Canopy Health will now proceed with these robust clinical trials in collaboration with a leading Canadian research institution. Also, as previously announced, starting in July of this year, Dr. Mark Ware will commence his role as the company's Chief Medical Officer. Under his leadership, the company will continue to lead the global medical cannabis industry forward with a focus on research, product innovation, and stakeholder education in the numerous regions where Spectrum Cannabis operates, including Latin America, Australia, Europe, and North America. Finally, in order to honor the company's commitment to affordable medical cannabis and pricing predictability for patients, Canopy Growth announced that upon passing of the Cannabis Act, the company will absorb the processed excise tax on all Spectrum cannabis products sold in Canada. Canopy stated that affordability is a key consideration for patients, and it's important to show leadership and reduce the price burden placed on the customers while they work towards insurance eligibility for medical cannabis. And on top of all this, all Spectrum Cannabis dried flower products will be priced at $8.50 per gram or less. If a registered customer is currently paying more for a Spectrum flower product, this means new savings, and if they are paying less, then that price will remain the same. As always, Spectrum Cannabis products available online through tweedmainstreet.com are eligible for Industry First Compassion Pricing Program that assists those in a limited income afford their medicine. Next, moving on to CannTrust Holdings Incorporated, one of Canada's leading licensed producers of medical cannabis, who announced the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with Niagara College to collaborate in the development of the college's Commercial Cannabis Production (CCP) Graduate Certificate Program. The program will strengthen CannTrust's workforce production capabilities and help fill the growing demand for knowledgeable employees in the booming cannabis industry. With the launch of this new program, Niagara College will become the first Canadian post-secondary institution to offer credits in commercial cannabis production. CannTrust will be awarding 6 students with scholarships as part of the program's inauguration. The college and CannTrust are excited to be participating in shaping the future of Canada's cannabis industry and are looking forward to the program's first student intake in September of this year. Next, we go to Canna Royalty Corporation, a leading North American cannabis products and brand company, who announced today that its investee company Anandia Laboratories Inc. has signed a binding term sheet to be acquired by Aurora Cannabis Incorporated for approximately $115 million. Canna Royalty owns 16.5% of Anandia, and its equity stake is valued at approximately $19 million based on the acquisition value, which represents an almost 400% rate of return on the investment. This acquisition advances Canna Royalty's stated strategy of partnering or rationalizing select assets that the company is deemed non-core to its go-forward strategy and more valuable to other parties. The proceeds will be used to fund expansion and further acquisitions without any dilution for shareholders, and the acquisition by one of Canada's largest LPs validates the significant long-term potential that Canna Royalty identified in analytics, testing, and genetics verticals. Finally, we look at Ianthus Capital Holdings Incorporated, which owns, operates, and partners with licensed cannabis operations throughout the United States, announced today that Mayflower Medicinals Incorporated has signed a host community agreement with the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, to operate a medicinal marijuana treatment center located at 450 Chelmsford Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Mayflower intends to diligently pursue a special permit at the site. If granted, the dispensary is expected to be one of only 2 operating dispensaries in the city of Lowell. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Lowell have abided by high program standards that are firmly focused on patient care and regulatory compliance, said John Henderson, Chief Development Officer of Ianthus. Mayflower is honored to have successfully completed its host community agreement with Lowell, which adds significant value to the project by documenting a supportive relationship between the city and the development of the registered marijuana dispensary site. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor on this podcast, please contact investorideas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the investorideas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded all investment involves risk and possible loss of investment.